Hello everyone, this is Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're tracking several storm systems in the days ahead, plus a much bigger storm system heading into late this weekend with our first snowstorm of the season, then some severe weather breaking out by early next week. Welcome back everyone. How's it going out there? Hope everyone had a fabulous weekend. So I appreciate all my followers out there and my new followers. So if you do like detailed weather breakdowns and are new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's take a look at the overall satellite picture this morning. And yeah, we're still talking about the remnants of Tropical Storm K, and that's bringing some rain showers still in places Las Vegas this morning. Even portions of Portland finally got into the action. They actually ended their 67 consecutive day dry spell yesterday with two tenths of an inch of rain. But we got more definitely on the table for you guys. Just hang on tight. But we also tracking this upper level low that sent heavier rains last night watching the Chicago Bears game. And yeah, some heavier rains this morning in portions of Milwaukee. And that we also have a cold front that's traversing down here, hanging out into the Gulf of Mexico. That's bringing some of that tropical surge into Florida, where they are picking up some heavier rains. And we are expecting some marginal risk severe storms later on this afternoon of portions of the Northeast. It's been pretty quiet out in the tropics, but we are starting to see a little bit more vertical lift as we head towards the Western Caribbean, as these thunderstorms are heading towards the island of Jamaica. And then yet we potentially have another storm with Invest 94E down here into the Eastern Pacific, and that looks to take the name of Lester coming up in the days ahead. So yeah, we got a lot happening here. So let's kind of zoom in to the overall hazard map, and yeah, we still have those flood watches. So complements of the monsoon flow coming back, and the remnants of K still bringing some heavier rains into portions of the desert Southwest. Like I said, Vegas is picking up some rain this morning. That extends into portions of Nevada, and there's still sporadic flood watches into portions of Southern California. And then up here, where they are tracking that upper level low, we'll bring in some heavier rains into portions of West Virginia and getting in parts of Maryland this afternoon. But the last 3 days definitely was nice to see all the heavier rain setting up for portions of Southern California. I think the hot spot was down here in the mountain regions. They picked up almost 5 inches of rain down here in the extreme southern portions of California, but spreading across the deserts. And then of course we had those heavier rains into portions of Illinois headed into Wisconsin, and then it's just all about tropical feed and into Florida, where they've picked up a lot of showers and thunderstorms over the past couple of days. And I think it's just going to be a wet week in Florida with the conveyor belt of moisture. So here's the setup this afternoon for the severe storms. And yeah, some of those storms that come in Arizona could be on the marginal side for some gusty winds upwards of time of 60 miles an hour. But further off into the East Coast, we're tracking these storms where they did highlight the Storm Prediction Center has that marginal risk for severe weather into portions of North Carolina, getting into Virginia. That extends into Delaware, into Maryland, portions of Jersey here, as well as into portions of eastern Pennsylvania later on this afternoon. So if we go into tomorrow, that same system essentially extends further northward. So now portions of New York City will be hitting up with some heavier rains. That extends into portions of Connecticut, Massachusetts, back into Rhode Island, along the Cape there, and that again continues to lift further north into Vermont and New Hampshire, and then that'll extend up into Maine. And then you just have Florida still getting those heavier rains, and then just more or less garden variety thunderstorms, scattered, more isolated activity up here. So as we go into tomorrow, I mean, going into portions of going into Wednesday, yeah, same deal. Florida still hit with that conveyor belt of moisture, so it's just going to be a wet week in the state of Florida. There's no question about it. And then just more or less garden variety thunderstorms as the atmosphere is kind of resetting. It's been really clear in the midsection of the country. Some of these areas have experiencing their coolest temperatures since May, so it's been really nice. And typically back behind cold fronts, we got several days of clearing. So definitely enjoy the nicer weather in the days ahead, but things are definitely going to be changing by the time we get into the weekend. So let's take a look at the tropics, because I showed you Invest 94E that right now it's got a 70% chance of developing. It's taking the kind of the same course that Tropical Storm K or eventually Hurricane K did. I think it will take the name of Lester, and we'll be tracking this storm as it traverses and heads towards the Baja and back towards Cabo San Lucas again. So, but out towards the tropics, out here in the Atlantic, like I said, it's been quiet. But we are seeing some indications where we do have a little bit of vertical lift. It doesn't imply tropical activity, but just it applies. It's much easier to develop showers and thunderstorms. And we're seeing that in portions of Florida. But once we get past into the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th time frame, we've got some deeper greens showing up on the map. That's just a little bit more deep tropical moisture, deeper lift. And I think by then we'll start to see some of those heavier rains really start to creep in the western portions of the Caribbean, places like Jamaica, getting into the Cayman Islands. As we head into the weekend, that conveyor belt of moisture just continues to pummel Florida all week long. So you've dealt with those rains the last 3 or 4 days. Pretty much all week long, you're going to get daily rain showers with this setup. And even by this weekend, you're still going to be under that influence of that tropical surge of moisture, while we will have Lester down here portions of southern Baja California here. And then that will try to make its way upwards, and bring in some more, rain showers a little bit further north. While we are watching this developing storm system, and this could be definitely our next bigger storm system that's really starting to take shape now, but I think it really will start to amplify and really start to come together as we get into late this weekend. So we can see the midsection of the country, we've got significant ridges building across. So we've got that cold front coming out, but the south wind will return. And so it's going to be warming up in a big way in the midsection of the country, while all eyes will turn out towards the Bering Straits out here towards Alaska. We'll have a developing trough as the PNA will go negative, and that's definitely an indication of some colder air dropping from Alaska. They're going to be sharing some of that colder air they've been experiencing lately. That's going to impact the portions of the Pacific Northwest and bring them much cooler conditions, if not colder in some spots, and more rain. Yeah, definitely more rain. So I think the dry spell is going to come to an end. You saw a little bit of that yesterday, but I think it's really going to be coming to an end by the time we get into late this weekend. So, and you can definitely see it on the 250 millibar wind speed of this developing jet streak. Pretty powerful jet streak going to be coming across these tight isobar winds. We've got this ridge of high pressure out here off the coast that puts the trough inland, and that'll set up the most unsettled weather across portions of the Northeast as we get into your late Sunday. So if we zoom in and look at some of these vorticities where it starts to take shape on Sunday across British Columbia into Washington, into Oregon, parts of Northern California, but it really starts to expand as we get into Idaho, into Montana, and you can definitely see it by the time we get into your Monday afternoon. Next Monday afternoon, look at the tight isobars really starting to take shape. That's indicative of some very strong winds. This could be our first more powerful storm system as we head into fall, and it definitely looks like all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together where we could be looking at a significant storm and our first potential snowstorm of the season. And back behind it, it's cold. It's got a lot of deep purples in it, so it's got some cold air to work with. And this is going to be a most significant cold shot of the season. So a drastic flip from all the record heat that you were dealing with. Then you're going to be talking about comfortable conditions, if not some colder conditions, while the midsection of the country will bring, well above average all week long while they're waiting on this system as we head into next week. So, but underneath that, look at the surface map as far as some of these temperatures as you wake up for next Tuesday morning. Widespread 30s, right? And even a lot of freezing temperatures in red showing up on the map. So it's definitely going to be cold enough to snow into portions of Washington and Oregon, but especially into Idaho and to Montana as you get into Wyoming. And underneath that, we could be looking at a fairly decent, more significant snowstorm, our first one of the season as we head towards fall, and be looking at some pretty healthy amounts as this developing storm system will be really starting to take shape and setting up over Idaho, over portions of Montana, over portions of Wyoming, and that'll filter down into the Rocky Mountains here with those developing snows as the changes of the season are really coming together as we head into next week. But out ahead of it, in that warm sector, we're definitely going to have to be concerned. There would be Lester down here off the Baja of California, but then further north, you got all the developing snowstorm, and then you got that clash in temperatures, and that's always typically indicative of severe weather. So we could be looking at severe storms breaking out into portions of Kansas, back into Iowa, back into Wisconsin. That'll eventually filter down into Illinois. And I think as this upper level low will start to shift further off into Canada by then, by the time we get into next Tuesday, we could be looking at more severe storms trailing on the backside. So I think it starts off as a wind event, heavier rain event, transfers to more of a snow event, and then it transfers into more of a severe weather event as we head into Tuesday, going into Wednesday of next week. So overall, for the precipitation, we'll be watching Lester down here in the Baja of California, how far it's able to creep up towards the Baja of California. But the combination of some just leftover remnants of Lester and this trough coming in, we still could be looking at more, scattered light to moderate rain setting up over portions of southern California. But heavier rains, more than 2/10 of an inch. Heavier rains will be inundating, coming back, and they're definitely going to be needed because these areas have been really dry for the past 2 months. But hey, you're getting in towards your atmospheric river time frame, and I do expect a wetter October going to be on the table for the northwest region. But in the interior regions, most of this will be in the form of snow, while further south, it's dry spell, right? I mean, it's just the flip back to dry in the portions of Texas and Oklahoma, into portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, southern portions of Missouri, portions of western Tennessee, getting into Mississippi here. It's pretty dry, but further to the north, where we're going to have those troughs and have that system come in, especially now, and then adding into next week, could be looking at some heavier rainfall totals. While further to the south, yeah, I mentioned there's just that conveyor belt of just tropical moisture all week long into the state of Florida, and then more scattered, lighter, and then moderate rains as we extend into the mid-Atlantic and heading into the Northeast. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do watch my fall outlook and my winter outlook that I recorded yesterday and uploaded. So watch those two after this video. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Catch the latest update while I protect you before and after the storm.